Staying on security matters, while the nation celebrates its journey of independence over the past 65 years, concerns over insecurity continue to spark debates among citizens. For many, the question remains, has the country become safer or have the challenges become overwhelming? Meanwhile, joining in to discuss Nigeria's security situation in recent times is retired Major General Cecil Esekhaigbe, and with him is News Central correspondent Mana Balagbogbo. Thank you both for coming on the news tonight. General, what is your assessment of the efforts by the president and by extension the military in combating insecurity in Nigeria? General, let me repeat that question. Can you hear me clearly now?
I can hear you a little bit, but it's good enough.
All right, let me increase the volume of my voice then. What is your assessment, sir, of the efforts by the president and by extension the military in combating insecurity in Nigeria?
If I heard you right, you're talking about the president's speech and his comment on the efforts in tackling insecurity in Nigeria. Is that right?
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, right from independence, there were all forms of crisis. You know, that moved from one crescendo to a point where it becomes a big problem for national development. Most of the times, people disconnect the fact that without security, there cannot be development. And the need for you to be able to tackle security to enhance national development is a key factor in the development strategy of a nation. Right from the first republic, you know, there were some political crises accentuated by some talks and all that, you know, that destabilized the body politic of the nation. Then even through the military regimes itself, there was this issue of coups and counter-coups, and security more at that time was more of a regime security than the security of a nation. So even when democracy crept in, the absence of development strategies and the attendant effect of lack of employment, you know, hunger, poverty, you know, kind of accelerated insecurity that is plaguing the land today, until it became, you know, a monster that come in different forms and shape. So the president's speech is about hope, and that it's work in progress, and efforts are being made by the military, and the other nexus connecting security, which is political security, economic security, environmental security, are also being worked on, you know, at the same time with the physical security. So he clearly stated the efforts of the military and, you know, the support the government has given to the military, you know, to tackle insecurity that is plaguing the country.
But Major General, with the backdrop that you painted for us when you spoke earlier, and despite that backdrop, the president says that Nigeria is winning the war against terrorism and banditry and other violent crimes. Well, some say that the reality differs from the claim. So what indices can we use to assess what the president has said?
Yes, if you look, let's take it sector by sector and from different quarters. Let's start from Northeast, where the Boko Haram and ISWAP had held sway over the time. You remember vividly there was a time in this country, about 2013, 2014, where you have a lot of barricades in Abuja and some other major cities in this country, where people cannot, you know, drive on the roads without barricades. So when there were bombings in churches and mosques and even the United Nations building and so on and so forth. But you agree with me, the Abuja streets are no longer barricaded as they were used to be. And though we cannot say we have clearly eliminated insecurity in the Northeast, a lot of effort, be put in place, irrespective of the various dynamics, that are plaguing the world, like the international dimension, the influx of elements from the Maghreb region, from the fall of Gaddafi in Libya and the attendant proliferation of weapons, that are pouring through the border. Now, let's talk of the Northwest, where the banditry has actually, been the most factor. Now, you also agree with me that a lot of efforts have been made, and before you can even find out that in some of those non-Western states like Zamfara, Kebbi, Sokoto, and all that, there was a time it was becoming, even governance was becoming untenable. Development was becoming a big issue because these elements were, clearly, outpacing, what the state governments were doing in form of security. Now, let's look at the Southeast, where you have IPOB, ESN, and all sorts of criminal elements. You also agree with me there were times where they say you don't go out on certain days, where people are being killed every day. And not that nothing, those things are clearly eliminated, but you can see, some, very, very good progress being made in those areas. In the South region, for instance, where you have, this kidnapping of expatriate oil workers and all that, bombing of pipelines and all that stuff, you can also see that a lot of progress has been made. Security is not bought in the shelf; it's a work in progress. And I think, in line with what the president said, we should keep praying and also, try to up our games in various efforts that the security agencies are making.
General Cecil Esekhaigbe, thank you very much for your insights into the security situation. But let's go to our correspondent in Lokoja, Mana Balagbogbo. Mana, what has been your experience in the coverage of security issues in the region where you are, especially the recent attacks in Kwara State?
Good evening, and happy independence to you, and happy independence to Nigeria. Insecurity is a very serious problem in Nigeria. And over the past few days, we've heard of killings in Kwara State. From Sunday night, the killings on September 28th at Opeote. That particular local government, if a local government, has been plagued with severe killings. And from the reports and viral videos that we've seen on the internet, a lot of persons have been fleeing their ancestral homes, and that calls for a lot of concerns being heard, especially listening to the president say that people are returning to their communities. That is just a stark contrast of what is happening from some of the visuals we've seen online. You would see a particular one where a truckload of residents in that particular community are fleeing, saying they are tired of the killings. Now, let me just give you a perspective of what has been going on in the Kwara State. In the past 12 months, over 70 persons have been killed, over 50 persons injured in the past 12 months, and over 40 persons kidnapped. Even just a few hours after this broadcast, there is an alleged killing of some persons in the state, and we're waiting for authorities to confirm that particular information. It is a serious problem. And when you look at the issue of insecurity, it's not far-fetched. It's still the issue of banditry. Even in Kogi State, where I am, it is still a major problem. And this banditry is in the forest, like what we have seen the past couple of weeks in Kogi State, most especially in the east, and Yagba East and Yagba West, which is the western part of Cecil State, which is linked up to Kwara State. So when you look at that road that links Kogi State and Kwara State, it is really concerning what is happening there with the killings of police officers and residents in local communities. Just a few days back, Governor Usman, the governor of Kogi State, was blaming insecurity on illegal mileage. She talked about Cecil who come into the state to chase lives in the name of investing, and they turn out to cut away the resources of the state. And it seems to me that that is also some of the dynamics that is playing, especially look at what is going on in Kwara State. There is also ethnic tensions, religious tensions, and it is really worrying what we are seeing. Just earlier today, Governor Abdurrahman, gave a statement talking about the fact that he was speaking tough in a statement released by his press secretary, Rafiu, and he was talking about the fact that they are working tirelessly with the joint security forces.
Mona, let me just ask you this question, and please make your answer brief. What's your assessment of the military's efforts? From your point of view.
The military are doing a lot, but with reference to what is going on in our state, the vigilantes have been overpowered by some of these bandits. And in fact, the question, what is going on in terms of intelligence reports, that seems to be the missing with specifics with what is going on in space. With intelligence reports. Now, for some videos online do not confirm they seem to be residents of Kwara State, especially when you look at that Okironte community in particular. They had words a day before that day that they had some information that there were going to be attacks in that particular community. And then you will see some other reports where the community members alerted military men and told them that these are the problems that we have and we have to do something about it. But the military allegedly told them that they were waiting for orders from above before they could go ahead to attack. So there seems to be that lapse in terms of communication gaps from those at the top. But what the government is clearly saying is that the military is doing all it can to secure the people and ensure that lives and properties are safe. But that is the huge problem. There is also an allegation that a helicopter, I think a month ago, brought in some Fulani headsmen via helicopter into the community, and that got a lot of people talking, but all of that has not been confirmed. And even when the press secretary to the governor was speaking earlier today on national television, he was talking about the fact that there is no confirmation whatsoever that military were seizing weapons from the local vigilantes, because that's also another allegation that the government of Kwara State was trying to clarify today, that they were actually persons and authorities who were trying to seize weapons. So the military is doing all it can, but the question being more is, do they have all that they need to ensure that they can actually tackle this problem of insecurity? I'm aware that high-ranking commander from Ibadan has been deployed to Kwara State to also help in curbing the insecurity situation. But another thing that is concerning you, from what I
Thank you very much, Mono. Thank you for your observations. Yes, that is really the million-dollar question.